What up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Comically Boston, my third bonus episode of the week. We talked Monday about the news, we talked Tuesday about House of the Dragon, now it's Wednesday, we're talking that amazing episode of The Acolyte last night, episode 5, Night. And today, this is episode 162 of Comically Boston, but this is my 600th video I've made. I don't know how I've made that many videos, but we're 600 deep in this bitch. So thank you for everyone that's watched any of these videos, and maybe there's one soul out there that has watched all of them, and if you have, comment below. But we're back, baby. Star Wars The Acolyte, episode 5, Night. And for me, this was exactly what I needed. This episode was so dope. We get the little parallels between Osha and May, and then, you know, it's kind of funny because the episode of House of the Dragon just was dealing with some twins as well. So, and by the end of that episode, you're not sure which twin is which, and that's kind of what happens by the end of this episode. You're not sure which twin is which, but previously, in the last episode, that episode 4 ended with the Jedi charging the Sith, Osha getting just yeeted sideways off into the, brush by the Sith, and we pick up right there, right? And this image here of all these Jedi, right? Like in the middle, you have Sol, Jeki, and Yord, the named Jedi that we know. But what about these other 5 guys to the left and right of them? I got news for you. Spoilers for this episode. If you don't want to hear spoilers for episode 5, I don't know why you're here, because we're breaking this down. We're telling you everything that happened and all the juicy little details that we noticed. And all these Jedi are pieced. Little piece. All these Jedi, they're all gone, except for Sol. Sol was the one singular Jedi to survive, which is heartbreaking. But we open on Osha waking up after getting yossed last episode, and she finds Pip and goes, "Oh, you're alright, okay, Pip," her little droid friend, and she hears lightsabers humming in the distance, and she stumbles across a dead Jedi on the ground. And I expect to see all of them dead already, but no, just one on the ground dead right here. And we see the Sith wipe out a bunch of Jedi and then make a Jedi kebab. And I actually have a clip of that. Let's play that clip real quick. Oh my god, that is so sick. The lightsaber action in this, in the fighting, in how the lightsabers look, how the fights look, the choreography of the fights, the intensity of the fights, the emotional weight of the fights, like this whole episode was beautifully done and a masterclass, really. Like, anybody hating on this, you're a pure hater, right? Like, I had such a good time watching this. I was like, oh, like, I'm screaming the whole time. I'm like, no, he just wipes out one, stabs another, pulls a third Jedi into the blade, makes a Jedi kebab, pulls the saber out, and then they were too pussy. I wonder if this was Disney. They go, no, you can't kebab 2 Jedis and then show us him decapitate both of them. But it, like, kind of, the camera moves behind a tree, and you see him swing, so he does, after that kebab, he decapitates at least one of them, but they're both pressed together, so he's got to decapitate both of them, and they just didn't show us it. But wow, this is like 1 minute into the episode. Like, this is nuts. Like, I was like, oh my god, this Sith. And the Sith gets revealed this episode, but we won't spoil quite yet who that is, because the reveal is, it's tasty, this reveal. But moving on, after he kebabs 2 Jedi, he kind of hits Yord on the leg, and Yord's down, but he's still fighting, and he's like holding his blade and holding his leg, and Osha stun blasts with her gun. She probably has she could have just shot a blaster bolt at him, but shoots a stun at him, and that has no effect at all, and he's pissed. So she runs, she takes off, and the Sith throws his blade at her, and it just like is flying behind her, spinning as she's running away, and then Sol blocks it, Soul goes, "Civilian to the ship," and turns around and like force pushes her into Yord's arms and goes, "Civilian to the ship." So Yord's job now is to take Osha to the ship. But then we get Soul versus the Sith 1v1, and you're like, oh god, this is this early, like this, oh my god, he's gonna fight Soul right here, right now, okay. And then the intro cuts, and you're like, god damn it. Luckily it's a short one, but I was like, oh my god. I'm like, I'm not really one for skipping, but I was like, how are they gonna just start the episode that hot? A Jedi kebab, Soul 1v1 in the Sith. Osha's there, you know, May's there, they're all there. Jedi dying left and right, like, oh, and just the start of this episode. Yord and Osha start following Basil back to the ship. Soul versus the Sith. He goes, "You don't remember me," and he's still masked at this point, so it's kind of like this Darth Vader-y, like the helmet's distorting the voice a little bit, and he's like, "You don't remember me?" And this doesn't make sense a lot to me. So like Soul and whoever's under the helmet, and when he gets unmasked, have a relationship before this, because why would he say, "You don't remember me?" And he goes, "I sense something familiar. You carry a Jedi weapon, but you're no Jedi," and then goes at him again. And then we cut to May versus Jackie, and she's like trying to arrest her, gets one cuff on her, and then they start tussling, and she gets away a little bit, and May hits Jackie. Jackie screams in pain. Jackie, whatever. Daphne Keene's character, loved her in this episode too. Oh, so good. But Osha hears Jackie scream and is with Yord, and she's like, "We gotta go back." And then we cut to Soul, gets pushed back by the Sith, gets up, and the Sith has disappeared. And we're like, oh fuck, where is he? And then, so it's building this tension of like, he's there, and he's deadly, and he's killing people, but then why all of a sudden be in this middle of a one-on-one, push back the guy in defense, and then just disappear on him? But we cut back to Osha talking to Yord, and Osha's like, "What is he?" And Yord's like, "I don't know. He doesn't follow the rules of combat. He doesn't wield the weapon in a traditional way. Doesn't make sense. He gets inside your head and stays there." And she's like, "My mother could do that. Get inside a Jedi's head. I've seen it once." And Yord's like, "Come on." You know, it kind of avoids the conversation. But I was like, at this point, I was like, oh. They keep calling the Sith a he, but is the Sith the mom? In the way that like the Sith armor works, it feels like magical, kind of like the mom's magic was. So I don't know, maybe her mom is still alive and has something to do with all this. But moving on, we cut back to Jackie and May fighting, and Jackie finally gets May down, cuffs her, and she looks over and like force pulls lightsaber to her hand. She goes, "You took Master Kelnaka's lightsaber," and puts it on her waist. Then we hear the wind start to howl as like you could feel darkness closing in, and then you see it kind of as like a blur in the background behind Jackie, and then all of a sudden the Sith just is running in, and he runs in, and then Jackie, now it's Jackie versus the Sith 1v1. You're like, oh my god, Soul, where are you? Like, we can't just have Jackie versus Sith one-on-one. Jackie's like was just wielding a wooden sword like last episode. Now she's fighting the Sith. Like, I have faith in Daphne Keene, but come on, man. Like, this poor girl seems undermatched at this moment. We see the glow, right? And as they're fighting, the Sith pushes back Jackie, and this, you could see the glow of the red lightsaber on the mask, and it just looks so good in the darkness, right? Like, it's all black, and you just see this red lightsaber glowing on his creepy mask that's scarred up and has this creepy smile. Oh, such a cool looking Sith. I really dig the design and look of this guy. And then he's got his arms out this whole time, and this guy's jacked. Like, I'll point that out more later, but he is ripped. And the way that he sounds with the mask is so creepy, but like also, you know, once we figure out who it is, you're like, oh, this guy is clearly skilled and clearly dark. But I want to know more of his origin, where he come from. But the Sith goes to May. You can learn something from this pupil. She's loyal. She's a loyal pupil. And then Jackie takes out two blades. Two blades Jackie. And I have a clip of that. Hold on, let's play it. seeing Jecki wielding two blades, oh, I was like, man, all my favorite women in Star Wars wield two blades between Ahsoka and her, and the way that it was two green lightsabers. And she's not necessarily a dual wielding, she just so happened to also have Kelnaka's blade right on her hip, so now she's get to use two blades. And but like the way that she was standing there with the one blade one way, one blade the other way, it really reminded me of Ahsoka with her green blades in the Clone Wars show, and you know, where I really fell in love with a dual wielding female Jedi, you know what I mean? Like, it's so cool. So May, cuffed on the ground, puts her cuffs behind her back and then, you know, around her legs and gets them in front of her so she can get up and run away. She starts to run again. Poor May's doing a lot of running this episode. But Jackie's dual wielding doesn't last very long. The Sith slashes Kelnaka's blade in half, so she can't use two anymore. But she still got hers, so she still got a lightsaber. But the Sith slashes Kelnaka's blade and then disappears on Jecki. So now Jecki's like, what the fuck? Right, so the same way he disappeared on Soul, he's now disappeared on Jecki, right? Building more tension. You're like, oh fuck, he keeps disappearing. Where is he? Is he in the shadows? Is he in the tree? Is he behind me? Right? You're looking around like, where the fuck is this guy? So, of course, in the middle of this fight, we cut back to Yord and Osha running through the woods in darkness at night now, and we know from the previous episode that there's these bug creatures that come right towards the light and the lightsabers, and so Osha goes, Yord, turn off your lightsaber. It attracts them. The light attracts them. And he's like, huh? And he takes a real long time to do it, but as soon as he does it, it's like they're closing in and they're getting closer, and just the noise of little creepy crawly insects. I was like, I'm all set. Disgusted. Ugh. Fuck insects. Ugh. Cockroaches. They're pretty much giant cockroach, beetle, scorpion, centipedes. Ugh. They're terrible. And they can fly. Ugh. 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 Disgusted. But the Sith, of course, disappears because he's running after May. And he goes, May, you coward. You were going to betray me. And she goes, forgive me, I was weak. And he goes, you've always been weak. And slashes his blade at her. I thought he was going to kill her right here, but cuts her handcuffs right off. And this guy's skilled enough to know he was going to hit a hand or miss a hand or hit her face or hit her body, right? So he intentionally, you know, gets her back into the fight a little bit and uncuffs her. But then he's kind of actually trying to kill her, right? So he uncuffs her and then he still like is actually trying to kill her, and you're like, okay, all right there. I don't know what the deal is there. I thought this was his Padawan, or if you would, you know, his Acolyte. So he's trying to kill May, but Soul and Jecki jump back in, right? So the Sith disappeared on him, but now they're both back together. So now it's 1v2, but we also just saw this Sith take on like 1v5 and wipe out all of them. So this guy literally just went 1-on-10 to start and has been holding his own pretty damn well. So like, this Sith is strong. He really is. So we cut to Osha and Yord, and Osha hears May's voice and she's like, we have to go back. He's going to kill them all. So they turn around and go back. She turns on Pip's light and you start to hear the creatures come towards the light, and she goes, follow me, run. And her and Yord take off running back towards the fight. So you're like, okay, they're coming back. Yord, Jecki, and Soul are the only Sith left. Only Jedi left, and technically Osha, but she's not a Jedi. And then there's May and the Sith, going to get revealed soon here. But something I found really, really interesting about this Sith's armor, we saw it earlier, when his blade on his arm hits a blade or the hilt, it like deactivates it for a minute. Like, it not necessarily deactivates it for good, like cutting it in half would with the lightsaber, but like, you know, hitting his gauntlet. So like, and we've seen Beskar be able to stop a lightsaber. We've never seen it deactivated. So maybe it's like Beskar armor mixed with like some witch magic, so that when it hits lightsabers, it deactivates the kyber crystal for a second. I don't know, but it certainly gives him the opportunity to, you know, have some advantage for a quick moment, and that's all you really need when you're in a sword fight, right? Like, but so he deactivates Soul's lightsaber with a headbutt, and I have a clip of that. That's just, I thought was super cool, but here's the clip. Like, so clever. Like, we've never seen fighting like this in Star Wars, and he just, like, blocks the thing, and normally it would just be like a block and and then they'd block again, and they'd pull in tighter and see the light on the faces. He blocks, and he headbutts it, and it deactivates his lightsaber, and I was like, oh, okay, shit, like, couldn't believe my eyes. But then Soul kind of pushes him off, and Jackie runs down, and Jackie starts swinging at him, and then Jackie knocks off his helmet, and the Sith doesn't like this at all, so he takes out of his lightsaber a secondary, smaller, shorter lightsaber out of the bottom of his hilt. So now he's a dual wielding, but instead of two lightsabers, he's wielding a lightsaber and like a small lightsaber dagger, and he blocks one saber that she's got with his one saber, and then stabs like 3 times in the chest with his dagger, and I was like, what? We have a clip, so let's play it.
No!
Oh, shit. In the big reveal, the Sith is Chimere all along. I did give 2 options. I thought it was going to be Chimere, the mom, or some random other guy. I still think those 3 options are completely viable at this point. But the Sith is that we were wondering who's under the mask is indeed Chimere, which we all kind of thought it was going to be. I didn't know if it really was, but he is. So Chimere's the Sith, and then I still think, I was just talking about the armor, I still think the mom has something to do with this. But still, who then trained Chimere? Like Chimere didn't just become a Sith by himself. He wasn't the first Sith ever. So what's the deal here? I don't know. But that was brutal. Brutal shot of Jackie from behind, and we just see burn holes come out her back. Oh. So terrible, terribly sad. But Chimere gets revealed here with the 2 blades and stands up, and you're like, oh my god, Chimere? Right? And this isn't the nerdy Chimere that we saw in the last episode being friends with May. This is the guy that was pretending to be like that, and she had no clue that her master was Chimere, because she was talking shit about the master to Chimere. So now the master's extra pissed because he's like, this bitch was betraying me, and I was right there the whole time, and she had no clue. But it's incredibly sad that Jackie is now gone. And this is all like only 14-15 minutes into this episode. Like, they packed a lot into this episode. It's honestly crazy. But like, it was Chimere all along. That's so crazy. He's really showing his skill. Like, Chimere really Clark Kented me, right? Like, when he was his Chimere, not the Sith, he was like this nerdy newspaper reporter type of dude, like Clark Kent, but he's really Superman, right? Like, he Clark Kented me. I was so mad at Chimere for that, but I kind of guessed it, I thought it was going to be him, but I wrote in the notes beforehand, I was like, oh, the Sith is definitely the mom. And then as soon as it gets unveiled, I was like, oh, it is Chimere, okay. I wasn't that shocked, but still, it was a pretty great reveal, and way to do it. Wipes out all of the Jedi, wipes out Jackie wipes out Jackie, Soul's new Padawan, right in front of Soul, right? Like, oh. And then it's even brutal afterwards. Soul goes, Jackie, and he goes, was that its name? It? Her, you dickhead? Was that its name? Like, what are you, a cyborg? Like, was that its name? And he goes, she was a child. You brought her here. Like, alright, that was a valid point. He got you there, Soul. Soul was like, she was just a baby. If she was a child, you're the one that brought her here to die. I was just the one that killed her. Sorry, not sorry. So Chimere's not sorry at all. And then he goes, oh, hello. And does a spin, tosses his cloak on Soul. Soul's like, oh, I'm blinded by this cloak. I was like, come on, Soul, you couldn't have dodged that, couldn't have seen that coming. But then he force pulls May in and from like a distance into a choke and goes, you really didn't know it was me, not even deep down? And he defends off Soul with one hand, and he goes, you attacked me with my back turned. Not very Jedi of you. And you see him like holding May, and he's really jacked, like as he's holding May in, and you can see his muscle. I was like, damn, the actor that played Chimere got ripped. Probably because he knew he was going to be in this sleeveless tank top. He wanted to show off his arms. But you see him holding May here, and he's holding the blade, and he's like, not very Jedi of you. And his face here, now he's starting to really look crazy. Maybe now you know why his helmet had a smile on it. Creepy fuck. And then Soul goes, why risk discovery? And he goes, well, I did wear a mask. And you're like, true. And he goes, what do you want? He goes, I want to wield power my way without you Jedi telling me I can't. And he goes, and I want a pupil, an acolyte. But this one broke our deal. So now I have to kill every last one of you. I don't make the rules, the Jedi do. And the Jedi say I can't exist. And you're like, oh! Ooh, I have a clip of this conversation between Chimere and Soul as he's holding May hostage. And this is what he says to Soul.
What are you?
I have no name. But a Jedi like you might call me Sith.
Ooh, the first time it's uttered. So now it's confirmed he is a Sith. But why did he go, I have no name? So he, was never given one? He doesn't have one? I thought he was Chimere, right? I'm still going to be calling him Chimere because that's how we were introduced to him. But I've been also calling him the Sith. So, like, he's the Sith Chimere, whatever. He's got no name, whatever you want to call him. But he's like, a Jedi like you might call me Sith. And you're like, ooh. The Yord comes running in, and he starts swinging, and he's got the helmet, and he deactivates one blade, and he goes, you, and he goes, surprised, spins him around, and snaps Yord's neck, right? So that's how you kill a Jedi with no weapons, right? Like, just bam, no force, nothing, just snaps Yord's neck. So now Yord and Jecki are both gone. Oh, shout out Charlie Bennett, shout out Daphne Keane. We love to have you, but it looks like you're not going to be returning for the remaining 3 episodes, which is sad. Tears. Tears, very much so. But May runs again, right? So he snaps Yord's neck, and May takes off again. Osha sees her running away, stun blasts her, so now she's down over there stunned. Soul starts swinging at Chimere, hand-to-hand fight. Osha, right, and Soul kind of beats Chimere in a hand-to-hand fight, picks up his lightsaber, and he's like about to chop off his head, and we hear Osha go, Soul! And he stops like literally an inch away from cutting off Chimere's head. And I'm like, out of all the people he just killed in front of you, Jecki, all of them, Yord, slash his head off. He deserves it. Like, he's too powerful to be kept alive. All the parallels to Anakin, it's like, oh, in like that scene of him saving Palpatine and cutting off Mace Windu's arm in Revenge of the Sith, like, ooh, I felt those vibes very much so in this. But Osha stops Soul from killing Chimere, and then right here I was like, I think Chimere's gonna try and flip Osha over to his side, and then Osha jumps, puts on the light on Pip, goes, I'm sorry, Pip. It jumps and puts Pip onto Chimere's back, right where he can't reach, with the light on, so all the bugs start attacking Chimere, and the bugs take him away, so we're like, oh fuck, what happened to him? We find out later, don't worry. May then stuns Soul, right? So May woke up, grabbed Osha's gun, stunned Soul, so now May and Osha get a chance to talk. I was like, Jesus, alright, okay, whew. And Osha goes to May, those Jedi were my family more than you ever were. And May goes, they brainwashed you. They turned you against me. In this line, I was like, oh, they turned you against me. Right, that felt very Anakin to Padme. You have done that yourself, like, okay, Obi-Wan, where are you? I got the high ground. Don't try it. Alright, I'm having too much fun with this. We're almost done. But May hugs her, And it's kind of beautiful moment, like, and I thought May was going to turn on Osha and be the dark side, but instead she hugs her and goes, don't choose them again, please. Choose me, choose us. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm still kind of wondering if these are the same people, but she's hugging her, so it's got to be her twin, right? It can't just be the same person. But then Osha tussles with May, and then May tussles with Osha, and then May force pushes Osha back, and she kind of gets knocked unconscious against a rock or something, and she's on the ground, and Osha walks above her and goes, "You never could block." And it's like, oh, well, that's a good Jedi survivor. Like, people that are just button spamming and they never block, you're not going to have a very good time in Star Wars lightsaber action. So you gotta learn how to block every now and again. May uses a yellow lightsaber, which I think is yours. Uses the lightsaber and trims her hair, and I have the clip of that. That's just real funny to see. Ooh, right? So May has a dark little plan here. I think May switches places with Osha because we see her cut the lightsaber hair. But I would have thought it would have been a little bit more noticeable, because once you see Osha walk back with Soul to his ship and it's just the two of them alive, the rest of these Jedi that came on this mission are now dead. Crazy. You're like, wait, is that May or is that Osha? I don't know. So she would have had to change her sister on the ground there as she's unconscious and then go and meet up with Soul. And like, but she just cut her hair with a lightsaber, so wouldn't her hair be a little charred ends? Like, I don't think Osha was cutting her hair with the lightsaber, but maybe it's just me thinking about it too much. It's not that big a deal. But she cuts her hair to look more like Osha, but then as she does it, you kind of see that May still has this little mark of the witches on her forehead. So that's definitely going to be how that she gets figured out. I'm assuming. I'm shocked Soul didn't figure it out sooner. We cut to Chimere, lands on the ground, kills the bugs, and he's like, you know, angry walking. You're like, oh shit, Chimere's lived. But then Basil, you're like, oh shit, Basil's still around kicking. Okay, cool. That little tracker, that little cute little animal thing from last episode. He picks up Pip and runs back to the ship, because we see Basil's on the ship that May and Soul get on. And I really think that Osha is now getting posed as by May. And yeah. But Chimere goes back, gets his mask, and then he's standing over what is Osha on the ground, but kind of looks like May at this point because she's in black, kind of like May was. And we kind of hear Kylo Ren's theme as he like kneels down next to her, but I have a clip. So tell me if you hear Kylo Ren's theme a little bit.
We are.
And she's wounded on her side, and the way that he puts her hand there, I was like, oh shit, does Chimere have healing powers? Or is he kind of just like force feeling what's wrong with her? And then he kind of rolls her onto her back, and he says, even in the revelation of our triumph, you see the depth of our despair. And then puts like a cloak or a blanket over the body and kneels next to it, and then bam, credits. 28 minutes of Star Wars. Bam! I was like, oh my god, what an action-packed episode. This is so crazy. But I was like, why kind of nod to the Kylo Ren theme? Is that just the similar black masks and the Sith lightsaber? Or is this, because this is well before Kylo Ren ever exists. I'm pretty sure at this point in history, Anakin's not even around yet, and Anakin's Kylo Ren's grandfather, right? So, does Chimere live for like 200 years and ends up being a Knight of Ren for Kylo Ren? Is that what we're getting at here? Is that what we're leading to? Because I'll tell you what, I would love to see a Knights of Ren TV show. But comment below, what is your thoughts on Episode 5, Night of Acolyte? Oof, the Acolyte, man, has been awesome. I've really liked it. There's been an overwhelming amount of people that hate on it for no reason. But I try to just ignore those people and block them that are being hostile or racist, and the people that are like, oh, there's female in Star Wars. What the fuck are you talking about? Leia was the hero in the original Star Wars, and she's the one, help me, Obi-Wan, you're my only hope. Without her getting that message into the droids and then coming back and being a blaster marksman, right, like, and then her being the general, she's the one that's been there all along. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Oh, women can't be Jedi. It's so stupid. But I've been seeing a lot of love for this episode, right? Episode 2, or like some of the interviews and stuff like that people were hating on, but I've been seeing some overwhelming love after this last episode, and I think it's just you give us a great episode of television in Star Wars, and people are going to react, you know, and episode 5 was apparently the big one. So, I don't know, I have a lot of faith for 6, 7, 8, but at the same time, I was like, if this was the big one, they definitely delivered, but wow, like, that was a heavy episode, a lot of action going on in that one, and, you know, there was some key dialogue going on in there, but that was really cool. A lot of lightsabers, and it was at night, so the lightsabers are glowing, you know, you're hearing the hums, the slashes, oh, so good, and also the weight of this episode, right, like, this episode actually had consequences. A lot of Jedi died, you know, May's not with the master, Osha's with the master, May's with Soul, right? So the girls have switched places. So I don't know how this is going to end up, but maybe May's going to be with Soul now. Soul will have a new apprentice, thinking it's Osha, but it's going to be May posing as Osha, and then maybe Kymir knows that this is Osha, but he's happy with it because he wanted to kill May. So now he's just going to train this new Acolyte as Osha, bring her to the dark side, tell her the truth, tell her everything, maybe reunite her with her mom or something, I don't know. But I have a feeling that this is going to end with, this is just my prediction too, I have a feeling that this is going to end with Osha killing May, killing Sith, or getting killed, vice versa. You know, like, I am thoroughly hyped for next week's episode. Comment below your favorite part of this series so far. Who was your favorite character? What was your favorite moment of this episode? I'd love to hear those things. How'd you like that reveal of the mask off? Who's the Sith? I'm super hyped about it. But we'll talk to you guys next week. If you want to talk to me on my other social medias, links down in the description below. Check me out on Letterboxd. Movie reviews coming the rest of this week. And I will see you beautiful people in the next Comically Boston. Thank you guys for 600 videos on YouTube. Go back and check out the other ones if you hadn't. My name's Big Cam. Thank you guys so much. Like, comment, subscribe. Do your thing. Hit that share link button. And I will see you beautiful people in the next one.